Hi friends, thanks so much for tuning in to my first YouTube video. This trip is of a trip that we took just last week on the American Angler. And if you've not had a chance to ride this boat yet, try to get on one as soon as possible. They are just an amazing, amazing operation, and I know that you guys will not be disappointed. So anyways, I took you around the boat a little bit on the outside just so you can see what it looks like. And then also right here we have Dewey. He is setting up his gear and he is tying what we call a chain knot. So you can see here it's very, very evenly tied. Great job on this, Dewey. Anyway, so let's go inside a little bit. On this boat, there are 3 full bathrooms that do have showers in all of them. So that's always nice if you want to freshen up and shower off. A very spacious galley, the kitchen. On this trip, we had Javier and Chase feeding our bellies, and goodness, their food is delicious. And then downstairs are basically where all the staterooms are. Just to show you a little bit of what's inside, each stateroom has bunks and either a cabinet or a closet, and then they also have full sinks for you to use. So stay tuned for the rest of the trip.
Boat did happen to sink out from underneath us. They'll deploy by themselves. And the only thing I can say is if that happens, just make sure you have nothing sharp in your pockets, you know, like a knife, pliers. Last thing I want to do is pop the thing when we're getting in it. So,
you had one job.
Yeah, just one job, no sharp stuff in your pockets. And another safety thing is man overboard. I've seen it happen before. I've been a part of it. It's a pretty scary situation. But how it works is one person's going to keep or everybody keeps their eye on them, but one person's going to communicate with the captain until the crew member gets eyes on them. Then we'll switch it to the crew member and just.
Quick tip for today: anytime you see a fish in color or one going next to you and you don't have a fish on, or you're looking for somewhere to drop and you can't find any space at the rail, that's the last place you want to drop, is next to one of your fellow anglers that's pulling on a fish. It's just going to create tangles, chaos, and obviously everyone's going to be unhappy, and you're going to be that guy that everyone's pointed at. So don't be that guy. And if you are next to a guy circling, even if he has a fish on, you don't got one going, my advice would be just to wind up and start over somewhere else. Very important. Very effective way to not start a tangle, or and have a good opportunity for that person to land their fish.
All right, thanks, Rocco.
Get it, John!
He's kicking my butt right now.
You got him.
Yeah.
Just tie her about. John's our first bite right here for the night. Guys, John did an awesome job fighting his fish, but man, unfortunately this fish was just mean and did not want to come aboard that night. It took John around the boat probably 8 or 9 times, and then what happens next is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the fish charges at the boat, coming in at about 100 miles an hour, and our crew members try to get a gaff on it, and Chase successfully got a gaff on it, but then it just took off and bit through John's leader. So unfortunately he wasn't able to land this fish, but John, you did a great job. Look, you guys see there's that long stick following the fish. That's his gaff. And here's Kylie fighting her fish.
Work it, Kylie. Oh, look at this. Brother-sister duo right here.
I currently not see him on the screen right now.
If you wind up, if you're not being
So as you can see, we have 3 fish going right now. There's Kylie fighting a fish, Connor, her brother's fighting a fish, and then Russell next to them is also fighting a fish. So what Rocco did was he took Kylie's rod to get her down on the other side to avoid the 3 fish getting tangled together. So if you guys are ever in a situation where your deckhand tells you to, hey, hand me the rod, hand it over to them without question. Make sure they have it in their hand before you let go, but hand it over, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that you land your fish. Okay, so in doing that, Rocco was able to clear Kylie's fish away from Connor's and Russell's so that she can try to reel that in.
There you go, just like that. Try to get your body squared. Just like that. One.
So here, Kylie's fish is about to come aboard. She did an amazing job, guys. Absolutely amazing. She stayed calm the whole time. You know, Rocco was helping her with this fish, and he gave her advice as they were fishing. And she took the advice, and look, she landed her fish, which is pretty amazing. And then also, just so you guys know, when you are fishing tuna, as it approaches the boat, it's going to want to take some really, really big circles. So your job is to make sure that you steadily wind on that fish and let it take its circles, but as each circle comes up, it's coming closer and closer to the boat, and once it's close enough, your deckhands will go to gaff your fish for you.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Woo! Get right here real close.
Yeah, get on up. There you go.
Turn it sideways a little bit more.
Great job, Kylie! Redemption!
So sorry for the poor video quality here, guys. I completely forgot to put my GoPro on when I started fishing, and so this is video footage from a friend.
Tip of the night with Lon, live.
Tip of the night?
On the pump, baby.
On the pump, baby.
The pump.
On the pump. Tip of the night when you're in a tangle. Don't freak out. Let your deckhands handle your tangles. That's the tip of the night right there, Rocco.
I love that tip.
Don't freak out when there's a tangle.
You heard it first.
Guys, this fish that I was fighting was an extremely mean fish. She just did not want to come aboard. So you see here, I'm using a speed jigging rod wrapped by Jano Custom Rods. Thanks so much, Jano. But this rod is actually shorter than a traditional rail rod, and so the way I like to fight fish with this rod is actually to point at the fish and use my body weight to pull it as I reel in. It's just, to me, honestly, using your body weight as leverage actually is a really great way to fish, because you don't get gassed out as easily as as you would in more traditional ways of fishing. And you see here, Captain Griff took my rod because the fish was actually going under the boat into the propellers. So he was able to get me around and out of the propeller. And so now I'm fighting the fish up on the bow. And Dave is also hooked up here. So you see, when you have two fish hooked up on the bow, they're going to want to tangle each other or swim at each other and really just try to get away from us and bringing them on board. So you see here, the crew's doing such a great job ensuring that both Dave and I stay on our fish, and it was pretty much ready at gaff at this point, and then it took off again. So it took me all the way down to the stern, and you'll see here, I'm just steadily winding on it, applying pressure on it. So you just want to reel in as steadily as possible. When the fish gets really close and right under the boat, what you want to do is kind of lean down, point down at the fish, put your rod in the water to make sure that you get a good handle on it. So you see the fish come up at color. It's going to take a few big circles, and Jake and Rocco are great. They've been helping me all along while I was in the corner here. Now Chase is up. He's got the gaff ready because the fish is just about to come aboard. And here we go. Yep, you guys just saw that. Basically, the fish bit through my 175-pound leader, so quite a heartbreak. So you see Jason here, he's fighting his fish, and Jason is actually Kylie's father. So, Jason brought his daughter and son on the trip, and father and daughter killed it that first night. So you'll see here Jason fishing, applying pressure on it. He's using the rail to ensure that it, doesn't break his back. And then here, goodness, Jason, handling that fish like no other. Anyways, the fish came up, and it actually was snagged on its side. So it's pretty amazing that Jason was able to land this fish when it was snagged in a very short period of time. So great job, Jason.
Jason's beating heart right there.
John got the biggest fish of the trip, coming in at 248 pounds. Congratulations, John.
So clearly it's kind of been a tough trip, but that's how this bluefin fishing goes. Seems like 2 days just flies by every time we do this. It's like you just run out of time type of thing. But today around these grounds there hasn't really been anything caught.
So we're pretty much at the bottom of the ninth here, and this is one of our last stops for the night. And Juan gets bit right there, and so he handed it over to me so that I could fight the fish. So here I take over and you'll see.
Jack's coming.
Get it. Yeah, on. Yeah!
Babe, do you feel something on mine?
Come on. Dirty. Look at Babe. Dirty hooker.
Got it. Coming up. Coming up, guys.
So you guys just heard me say coming up, guys. You know, I think one of the most important things to do when you're fishing, and especially when there's a bunch of people around that have fish on too, is to make sure you communicate well, you know, and loudly. Because sometimes, you know, when everyone's fishing, it's loud and all that stuff. So just make sure when you're coming up, you literally say coming up or coming down, up and over, things like that, to make sure you communicate with your fellow anglers so that you set each other up for success. And Gary, unfortunately, right here, he thought he was just tangled with me and then realized that he actually had a fish on too, but unfortunately it snapped right when he was trying to reel up on it.
You're under, you're under. Get that, buddy.
Just under. And then I think you're under. Yeah.
And another thing about that is just make sure that you stay really calm as you go up and down the rail and all of that, because I think a lot of times, you know, we get so excited that we're on these big fish and we want to land it and all that stuff, but I think, you know, what I've learned is the calmer you stay, the better chance you have at landing your fish. So Dewey just hooked up a fish behind us, and I'm sure you heard all the yelling of everyone saying biter and go Dewey, but this is also another part of fishing that I love, the camaraderie. You know, we all have this love for fishing, and we get so excited when our friends hook up a fish or even get to land that fish. So, you know, it's a really special experience that you get to be a part of.
Come on up, all the way up. Come up quick. Walk to your right. To your right, to your right.
You gotta come up, you gotta come up.
Come over right here. Over line.
Oh, so you're over me.
One of the difficulties that we ran into on our trip was that there was no current for us while we were fishing. When you fish for tuna at night, we're doing what they call drift style fishing. So basically the boat is drifting while we're fishing. And normally you would need to have current, at least some type of current, to ensure that all the lines are going out and not tangling up each other. So many of us were tangled on the stern there, and Gary had a fish on and he was tangled. So the crew had to splice Gary's line to ensure that he can continue fishing and fight that fish so that he could bring it on successfully. And you'll see here, Gary was able to land his fish. They had 3 gaffs in it, and here it comes aboard. Great job, Gary. All in all, guys, we had an amazing trip. You know, there was definitely some tough fishing out there due to lack of current and really just mean fish that did not want to come aboard. So, you know, that's fishing for you, right? But honestly, being able to spend a few days with some family and friends out on the water and with the amazing crew of the Angler, you know, really there's not much more we could ask for. So thanks again for tuning in to my first video, and we hope to see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.